The Rockets and the Texans have to pass the test this week.
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go. Hard work, work. Everybody doing it right. Hard work, work, work. That's what I say. Hard work, work, work. Earn more pay. Hard work, work. Hard work. Do it every day. Hard work, work. Get up out of quarter to three. Hard work, work. Let me go and earn my pay. Hard work, work. Boots on and lace.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Fix my hat. There we go. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Go to the left. Nah, it look better over here. I feel like my hat needs some of that stuff that AD be taking. I feel like my hat needs some blue chew or some ED medicine. Hey, what's going on, y'all? You tuned to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Hold on 1 second. No, AD, I'm not on CP time. I figured that you would need just a little bit extra time to get yourself together because you know how you do it. Let me fix my screen. You know how you do it, AD. You know it takes you some time to get yourself going. So I had to make sure you was ready. Hey, can you give my hat some blue chew? Because it's make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. Follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. And make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast and to the Locked On Texans YouTube page. All right. They call me Mr. Nobody. What's going on? What up, Swan? What up, AD? Red Diamond. Good morning, ma'am. What up, though? Hello. All right. I ain't late. I'm on time. I'm on. Listen. Like I said, I gave you a couple of minutes to get yourself together because I know you wouldn't be like yesterday. You came in. It was 2 hours on the show. Once again, tuned to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Before we get this thing going, y'all know how we start off every show. I got a question. Y'all be like, "Damn, Sarge, you got a question every day." You're right. I do. I got a question. I'm very inquisitive. Most geniuses are. That's why I'm in the profession that I'm in. So I'm able to ask questions. That's why sometimes, listen, let me tell y'all, sometimes when we're in these at these press conferences or in these media scrums, I don't mind going last. Ask your question. Go ahead and ask your question because you're not going to ask my question. And even if you ask something similar to my question, don't worry. I got 3 more in my head. Listen, let me help some of you all out who aspire to be in the media and you have to ask questions and talk to people on a consistent basis. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Make sure you got yourself prepared. Just make sure that you have yourself prepared at all times. Y'all got to give me a second. I can't do this hat. Hold on for a second. All right. I didn't feel like myself. I had to go ahead and put, black magic back on. You know what I'm talking about? I had to put black magic back on. One day I'm gonna tell y'all the story behind this hat and how long I've had it for a minute. But I always tell, the advice, if I have to give anybody advice when it comes to being in the media, it's like, hey, look, prepare, stay ready so you never have to get ready. So when I'm in these conferences, press conferences, or when I have to talk to players, things like that, I don't care if other people go for me. I got questions, and I know I got questions. And I know you're not going to ask my question because I either prepared to ask this question or this question just came about, and I know that I thought about it quicker than you did. I digress. I got a question. Were you nervous when you... Hold on, that's a good question. That's a good question, Senior Bobole. Good morning to you. He asked, were you nervous when you first started asking questions? Yes. And let me tell you why I was nervous when I first got into the media and I was in press conferences and I was in scrums. Oh, scrums was I'll tell you about scrums in just a second. And what a scrum is, I'm sorry, you all. That's my bad. I need to tell you all what a scrum is. A scrum is when there's a bunch of reporters standing around the subject that they want to talk to. So whoever's being interviewed, who's ever being asked the questions, the people that's around them is considered a scrum. It's totally different than being in a press conference. In a press conference, you're there, everybody is either seated, standing up, or whatever the case may be. But when you're in a scrum, you're surrounded by other media members, and you're pretty much trying to double dutch to get your question in as well. And so when I first got when I went to the first press conference, yes, I was very nervous because I didn't know how to ask questions. I didn't know. I don't have a background in radio and television broadcasting, or I don't have a journalism degree. And if I could tip my hat to somebody, I got to tip my hat to me because I've worked hard to get to where I've gotten with no formal training. That rubs some people the wrong way. Pause, no Diddy, no. I would say Orlando Brown, but I found out he was married and about to have his second child. So now I don't know if Orlando Brown is just doing that for clout or if Orlando Brown is really, but we'll definitely say no Diddy. And so what I did, because I knew I didn't have the background, I do what I do in every situation. I learned the lay of the land. I think for my first year in the media, I didn't ask a lot of questions, not in a scrum or not in a press conference, because I'm just listening. And then as I got going, I started to ask questions. And, one of my colleagues, matter of fact, one of my colleagues, they're still my colleague right now, went to at the time, Amy was over Texans PR, and went to her and said he asked questions like a fan. And I'm saying to myself, is it just because I'm the new guy, or y'all not listening to the other questions? Like, what I'm basically doing is I'm hearing what's going on. I know what's going on, but you know, I'm asking pretty much the same similar questions that y'all are, but I'm the one asking questions like a fan is because I'm new, right? I got that part. That was cool. Water under the bridge, kept going. And so as I learned more and more and more, I just learned how to be more comfortable in the press conference, how to ask questions, how to become the person that I am today. Just sitting back, watching, learning, researching. Because if you want to be in this business, you can't just emulate the people that you're around. You got to go on and like I looked at press conferences. Like I would go on YouTube and just watch press conferences and just listen, okay, because there's a certain flow in which they go, a certain way to ask the question, there's a certain way to present the question. You don't want to come off as, you know, not being taken serious, but then again, you don't want to come off as someone who is that person who just you don't want to come off as that person who's trying to, be a shock jock or trying to be hot takes or nothing like that. So I learned. Then I remember the first time I was in a scrum, because when you're in a scrum, you're trying to ask the question. Everybody's trying to ask the question at the same time. And so you're there and you're listening. And I remember I was like, God dang, these people are rude. These people are rude. Ain't nobody giving nobody an opportunity to speak. And then I realized that's just how it goes. Nobody is really taking it personal. Nobody's really taking it personal. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. And even when I'm in scrums, sometimes today. Now I'm gonna give you a little uh behind the scenes when it comes to me, when it comes to Big Sarge. Because I've been able to develop the type of relationships that I have when it comes to players, coaches, training staff, general managers, et cetera, et cetera. Because I've been able to develop that type of relationship, it's different for me. If you're around me, if you want to be in the media and you're around me, I will teach you, but it has to also be in you as well. Because I'm going to give you a prime example. So on Monday, the Texans came off the bye week. On Monday, Aziz is suspended for 3 games. Everybody ran to talk to Henry Toa Toa. Everybody ran to talk to Henry Toa. And so everybody's talking. I look down and I see him being interviewed. I don't have to rush down there and jump into that interview because after all that was gone, I came up and I was like, "What's going on, Henry?" Me and him started talking. Me and him started talking about him trying to hold the Zeus back. That was a hilarious conversation. And then I said, "Hey man, I talk to you later on this week." "Yeah, I got you, Sarge. I got you, no problem." So I'm gonna talk to him one on one, and then I'm gonna ask him the questions that I want to ask him. But I'd had to develop that relationship. I developed that relationship last year because Henry, Hutch, and Jake Hansen, they all sit by each other. And, you know, nobody's really talking to them. I was telling this story yesterday. I don't even know how we got on story time because I really do have a question, and we'll jump into the show in just a second. But it's funny because I was talking to someone, talking to my partner Joe, and some way, somehow, the subject of Nico came up. I know what it was. I was he had listened to the Locked On Texans podcast on to the Tuesday's episode. And on that episode, I talked about one of the marquee matchups is going to be Nico Collins versus Jalen Ramsey. And so I started I started the segment by saying, Nico's a really good guy. He country is corn. He tries to hide it, but he just can't. That Birmingham, Alabama comes out of him a lot, no matter how much money he got, no matter his status, whatever. That Birmingham, Alabama come out of him real quickly. And so I said, but when he gets on the field, he's one of the most competitive people you'll ever want to meet. Like Nico, a dog for real. He plays with that mindset. Nico plays every down like he trying to get a contract, which he's like, hey, I want $100 million. That's what he said. Hey, sorry, now I got my contract. I got to get up to 100 million. So, but as I digress, my partner Joe was like, well, how were you able to tell that type of story? I mean, how were you able to relay that to the audience about Nico? He said, because that sounds so personal. I was like, well, I talked to Nico like when Nico's not on injury reserve, I talk to Nico a lot. I said, but that didn't just happen this year. I'm sorry, that didn't just happen last year when Nico burst onto the scene once he got, CJ Stroud as a quarterback. That didn't happen this year when Nico was leading the NFL in receiving yards before he got injured. I said that didn't happen this year. That didn't happen last year. That happened when Nico first got to the team and nobody was really talking to Nico. I would always go down there and talk to Nico. I would. Hey, Nico, what's going on, man? Chop it up with him. Talk to Nico, blase this, blase that, even when he was going through the bad time, even when they were killing him on sports radio, even when they were killing him on social media about him not being able to stay healthy, he's going to be a bust. There's a lot of people still in this media market that know that they said that, and now they're eating their words. But I would always talk to Nico. That's why I was able to tell the story that 3 years ago. Remember, Nico, 3 years ago, Nico was put on the IR and he wasn't able to finish the season. And he told me this was, before last year. He told me, was that much 2 years ago, 2.5 years or whatever? He said, hey, Sarge, when I come back next year, y'all gonna see a whole different me. He said, I'm about to show them who I really am. And then you seen what he did last season. But I was able to talk to him before he left. And so these personal relationships that I develop when I'm talking to these players, because I've talked to Nico about, like, Nico loves Rod Wave. So I'm not a Rod Wave fan, but I know who Rod Wave is. So I talked to Nico about Rod Wave. Me and Tim Settle Jr. Me and him talked about his upbringing and things like that. Will Anderson Jr. I know his family. Um, just like the other day, somebody said, "What did you do?" Asked Will, "What did you do on the bye week?" And Will was like, "I ain't really do too much." I said, "No, no, no, that's a lot. You hung out with your nieces and your nephew, and you had your feet on the wood at the Hawks game." He started laughing. And so all I'm saying is that I've been able to develop these personal relationships. And if you're going to be in the media, what I mean by develop these personal relationships is get to the point where you can the person, the athlete, the entertainer, whoever you have to talk to on a consistent basis, let them know, hey, look, we can talk, but I still have a job to do. I still have a job to do. Last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna hop into the question that I really wanted to ask you. So y'all remember? Let me see. When was it? AD, you may be able to help me out with this. I'm trying to remember. Who did who did the Texans play before they played the Cowboys? Shucks. The Lions, right? They played the Lions, right? No, 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 no. You know what? Y'all give me a second. I gotta look it up now. I'm trying to see which game it was. Texas. Okay, it was the Lions. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, it was the Lions. Hey, Alexis, thank you. Hey, Miss Fisher, how's everything going? So it was the Lions, right? So during the second half, when the Texans just couldn't get anything going, when the Texans looked like they couldn't do nothing, and part of it was CJ's fault. Like CJ had to take some accountability too. I tweeted that. I said CJ has to take some accountability for this. Then everybody remember the retweet that went viral. His mom retweeted what I said and said something. I think all she said was really and put a question mark behind it, right? She said really. And I mean, that thing, y'all, that thing got close to almost, I think that thing got close to almost 700,000 views. And I think that it got, I think she took it down, right? I think she took it down. But anyway, so of course, I seen it. I seen the retweet. I seen it. I said, I'm not going to address it. That's not how you do things like that. I'm not going to go back and forth with someone's parent on social media. I'm not going to do that because I also know Miss Stroud I've talked to Miss Stroud a lot, and I know that she was just being a parent. I got that part. I'm a parent and I'm a grandparent. And so I understood that she was, you know, protecting her child, but this was my job. This is football related. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything that was out of line. I did not say one word about I didn't say anything that was out of line or that wasn't facts. CJ had a bad second half. If I'm not mistaken, and is that the game that he opened up the second half with an interception? Didn't he? Was that he opened up the second half with an interception? Because they went in up 23-7 and they lost 26-23. So what's up, Tay? What's but he played bad. CJ played bad. I did my job. I understood where she was coming from. And if I had to do it all over again, I would have done the exact same thing. This isn't me trying to be rebellious. This isn't me trying to be any other thing, but I was doing my job, and that was my job. So fast forward to the following week. After the Cowboys game, CJ was at his locker. And I said, CJ, I said, I didn't get a chance to talk to you this week about what went on social media. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about what went on social media. And I said, and I really didn't want to bother you before the game, about, what I said on the tweet. And so CJ said, well, what you talking about, Sarge? I said, you didn't see the retweet your mom put out? He said, I didn't see that, Sarge. I said, well, I said in the Lions game that you had to be held accountable for the second half play as well. He's like, no, you right. That ain't nothing wrong with that. I said, then your mom retweeted like really. And I said, but I get it, CJ. I understand. She's not retweeting. She wasn't coming at me as a football fan. She was coming at me as CJ's mom. I said, and I get it. And CJ started laughing. CJ said, he said, Sarge, you're right. He said, you're right. He said, I can understand that. I can understand what you're saying. And I can understand you're doing your job. He said, because when I'm playing well, you're also one of the ones who gives me the credit and talks about the way that I play. He said, so when I'm playing bad, it's your job to say that I'm playing bad too. You owe that to your audience. I said, and that's all I'm saying. I said, I wasn't trying to go back and forth with your mama online. I said, and like I said, I understand, but I wasn't taking a personal shot at you. All I was saying was the play in the second half against the Lions was not good. And so I said you had to be held accountable for some of the play. He said, no, sorry, you 100% correct. You are right. And he said, man, that's my mama. She gonna love me regardless. I said, and you're right. So I left and I went over to talk to, because that by that time, that's the game that Barnett had that scoop and score. So I was over talking to the Nico Autry about it. So I'm on the other side of the locker room talking to the Nico Autry, and all I hear is Sarge, come here. So I turn and CJ going like this. Hey, come here, come here. So I walked back over there, and CJ was like, hey man, bro, you ain't got don't he said, please don't take it personal. He said, I know that you're just doing your job. He said, I know you're just doing your job, man. And he said, man, my mama gonna be all right. He said, she here right now. When we leave out of here, man, you can go down there and talk to her right now. I said, I'm gonna go down there. And I did get a chance to speak to her and talk to her for a brief second. Um, but CJ was like, nah, man, we good. He said, you just doing your job. That's not personal. He said that's not personal. So I'm saying all that to say this as I digress. I wouldn't have been able to have that type of conversation with CJ if CJ and I hadn't had so many conversations offline. If CJ and I hadn't had, just regular conversations about everything, right? If we hadn't developed that relationship being away from the football field in the locker room, like in the locker room. I don't know CJ personally as far as being out in the community and things like that. I've seen him at different events when they have the CJ Stroud Foundation stuff. I see him out there then. But, you know, I've been at the things. I've talked with his mom personally. I've talked with him personally and that relationship. So I told you all that story. I told you all that story. As I digress, we're gonna get this show started here in just a second. I won't even ask you the question that I was gonna ask you because this thing took a whole nother turn. I'm not gonna hold you up any longer. We'll talk about, I'll tell you what the question is so y'all will be ready for it on for Thursday's show. But my thing is you have to develop a relationship with your subjects that you're going. And what I mean by subjects, I'm saying subjects because all the people that if you get in the media, you're not just talking to athletes, you're not just talking to politicians, you're not just talking to entertainers, you're not just talking to coaches. Like you're talking, that's why they say subject. You have to develop that type of relationship to whereas y'all know that you can have that relationship, but you also know that there's a boundary. Like D'Amico Ryans. I think that Coach Ryans is one of the best people one of the best people I've ever met in my life. When it's time for me to do my job, it's time for me to do my job. When Bobby Slowick, hey, Bobby is amazing. If you ever get a chance to talk to Bobby Slowick away from football, that man has his mind. He really his mind is it just bro. He some of the things that you just could talk to him about. But with that being said, they also know that I have a job to do. So when you get to that point, to whereas you're in this market, as far as being in the media concerned, you know that you have to talk to people on a consistent basis, develop a relationship. Because there's a lot of people who don't have relationships, and then when it's time to talk to them, you can't. They're not going to talk because they don't know you. If you have to keep reintroducing yourself to people, or if every time you leave, the person say, "Hey, who is that again?" Then you're doing a piss poor job at your job. I don't say you have to be friends with them. I don't say y'all got to go kick it and have a beer or this, that, and other. But the person that you have to talk to on a consistent basis, knowing that you need the information from them, you knowing that you have to ask them questions, y'all should have some type of relationship. One more thing, real quick. Like, I still talk to Jonathan Grenard. Like, talk to Jonathan Grenard. Like when he won NFC Defensive Player of the Year. Hey man, congratulations. Appreciate that, Sarge. Appreciate that, Sarge. Hey man, how the family doing? How you getting adjusted to being in the cold weather up in Minnesota? Man, I'm not used to this, but I'm getting used to it. When the Texans played the Vikings, I went into the locker room. Jonathan was finished. JG was finished with his press. He had finished his press conference. He was getting ready to walk out the door. The lady was like, I don't think he's gonna want to talk to you. And he heard it and he turned around. He's like, no, that's my guy. No, I'm gonna talk to him. I got time for him. And so, anyway, as I digress, right? As I digress, and this all came about when somebody just asked me, how did I do on my first question? I don't even know how I started telling this story or got into this lane, but if you're going to be in the media, then you ain't got to be friends, but you got to develop some type of personal relationship with people, because then they're more apt to talk with you. They're more apt to, all right, Sarge, what you need? Hey, bro, that's why I went to bat so much for Aziz, because I talk to Aziz on a consistent basis. And when I be like, hey, Aziz, can I talk to you? Hey, Sarge, I ain't got time for you right now, but I'll make time for you tomorrow. You gonna be here tomorrow? If you here tomorrow, I got you. Next day, hey, Sarge, come on. You ready? We just sit down, we start chopping it up about football. Oh, before I get into these comments real quick, I just had to say this. This was going to be my question. So y'all marinate on this and y'all come back tomorrow with an answer. Wait, hold on. Cully will come and talk to us before every game. I was thinking, don't you have something more important to do? Hey man, David Cully is like a really good guy though. I seen him at the John Lucas charity golf tournament, and he was on the green. So I was on the other side of the rope. And I was like, hey, Coach Cully, what's going on? He turned and he looked. He's like, Sarge, what's going on? I'm surprised he knew my name, but maybe I may have had on a hat that said Sarge. Anyway, he's like, Sarge, what's going on? And he walks over, crosses the rope so we can have a conversation. And after that, he walked back. And as he was leaving, I said, man, that's one rich old man right there. That buck got that money. Anyway, my question to you all, and you marinate on this because I'm going to ask you tomorrow, there will be a quiz. What is an appropriate gift for your significant other? What is an appropriate gift your significant other can accept from a coworker of the opposite sex? Yeah. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Let me say it to you again. What is an appropriate gift your significant other can accept from a coworker of the opposite sex? Hold on, let me see. Well, where did I stop at? What up, though? That's funny. Whoa, I'm not getting into that, AD. Sean, what's going on? Hello, Alexis. Hello, Miss Fisher. Uh, what up, Dre? Madison, what's good? Brian, what's good? If I hadn't spoke to you, uh, she was not. She was not happy with me. Uh, nah, she wasn't ready to squabble, but she was not happy. Mm. Uh, yeah, this is true. Yeah, his parental instinct kicked in. You are right. Uh, yes, got to know when to turn that on and off switch. Yep. I love it, still do. But when he started attacking the media, he had to go. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Stephen A. Hey, where Marcus at? I ain't seen Marcus yet. Uh, Funny enough, ran into Cully's cousin who was a dealer at a blackjack table in Vegas. He's like, y'all did him wrong, and he did himself wrong. What did I tell you, AD? What I tell you I was gonna do in 2025? Told you. all day long, my guy, my boy. I'm gonna do it all day long, my boy. Listen, hey, y'all answer. No, don't answer the question yet. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow. No, no, listen, no, we're not talking about it today. What's going on? Hello. Marcus still drunk. Once again, tuned to the Sports Talk Big Sarge Show. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Listen, you seen the title, right? It says the Rockets and the Texans have to pass the test this week. And we're going to start with the Houston Rockets. They have a big game tonight against the Golden State Warriors at the Toyota Center. They're playing in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. And now you're saying to yourself, hey, Sarge, why does a game against the Golden State Warriors on a Wednesday night, why is that game so important? Why is it so big? Well, this is a nationally televised game, a way for the rest of the world to actually see how that young Houston Rockets team is playing, how good they can be, how they're not ready to, we're going to talk about this in just a second too, how they're not ready to go, you know, over to they're not ready to, make noise as far as being in the Western Conference Finals just yet, but they're on that road. And so they really need this win also against the Golden State Warriors because they ain't beat them since 2020. Like they have not beaten the Warriors since 2020. Even the game they came back on them and went to overtime, when the last time they played here at home, they lost. And they just lost to them last week with no Draymond and no Steph Curry. Like the Houston Rockets, they don't have to just win this game to advance to go to Las Vegas to play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the semifinals. They don't just have to advance play this game. This game doesn't just mean that to them to be able to advance, to be able to potentially win the NBA Cup. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, every player gets $1 million. And so they don't just need to win that game tonight against the Golden State Warriors to advance. They just need it for their psyche. Like it's time. Like it's time. Listen, what year was that? Somebody help me out. AD, I'm pretty sure you can help me out since you'll never have me on the show, but you do know about the Rockets history. I wish Cody Davis was here because he got it right off the bat. Hey, what year was that? That I think it was the year. It was James Harden and Chris Paul's last year. Was that 2019? Was it 2019? It was with Chris Paul. It was Chris Paul and James Harden's last year. I think that's the year that Kevin Durant get hurt. I can't remember. But I think that was I think that was 2019. I honestly and truly believe that was 2019, the last time Chris Paul was here. The Rockets lost, I think, in 6, and they lost game 6 at the Toyota Center. So we're there, right? And so the game is about to be over. So we go into the media press conference room. We go into the press conference room, and then we're sitting in there. You could have swore the Warriors had just won the championship. The way that they were celebrating in that hallway, you could hear them. You could hear them because we sit here, and then it's the media dining facility, and then it's the visitors' locker room. So you're here, you could hear them coming into their locker room, and you just heard Draymond talking. You heard Curry talking, and they was talking big trash. Oh my God, they were talking so much noise, a lot of noise. And I mean, the Warriors has had the Rockets number for a very long time. I think that they've won 14 out of the last 15 matchups, right? And if I'm not mistaken, haven't they won like 14 or 15 in a row? Like they need this. The Rockets need this game not only to advance, but they need this game for their psyche. And they need this game to show the rest of the NBA, hey man, look, we're not that franchise that y'all used to look down on anymore. We're coming. We got some good pieces in place. We got some good pieces in place that that we're ready to utilize, and to make sure that our roster is solidified so we can get to the next, we can get to that next level. That next level would be making it to the Western Conference Finals. And that's why it's such a big game for them. And another reason it's a big game for them because what have we always talked about on this show, right? What have we always talked about this? Talked about, and then the rest of the media always want to say, yeah, the Texans and the Rockets are pretty much exactly the same. He's like, yeah, I already know that. We talked about that on Sports Talk with Big Sarge. Sarge talked about that before he even got his show back up and running. He tweeted that out a long time ago. He said that the Texans and the Rockets are the Spider-Man meme. I'm saying that to say this. Jimmy Butler plays for the Miami Heat. He wants to be traded. He said, name some of the teams that was his trade destination. He threw the Houston Rockets in there. When was the last time somebody said they wanted to come play for the Houston Rockets? It's been a very long time since they got some like big name free agents like that. Now, don't get me wrong. They got Fred, they got Dylan, but and this is no shot at either Fred nor Dylan, but like Jimmy Butler is on a whole different level than those two. And I think that those two will tell you as well. Dylan may not because Dylan don't think nobody better than him. And I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate that. When you're looking at that, when you're looking at a player like Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler's caliber and the way that he plays, Jimmy plays hard every day, all day. Now, Houston is one of his destinations. Side note, before last season, how many times have we talked about, hey man, when's the last time Houston got a big name free agent? When's the last time the Texans had a big name free agent? When's the last time somebody said that they want to come play for the Houston Texans? And as soon as D'Amico got here, then all of a sudden, everybody wants to come play for the Houston Texans. They got Danielle Hunter. They got Azeez Al-Shaair. They traded for Stephon Diggs. They traded for Joe Mixon. But those players also wanted to be here as well. They wanted to play for D'Amico. And that's the exact same thing that's going on with the Houston Rockets right now. Like players around the league are starting to see what the Houston Rockets are doing and what head coach Ime Udoka is all about, and they want to come play for him. They do. And that's what I mean by the Spider-Man meme. That's what I mean by the Houston Texans and the Houston Rockets are pretty much the same franchise. They've been through so much, and they're still on that trajectory to grow together. And I'm telling you, listen, I know I haven't done a lot of Astros talk on Sports Talk with Big Sarge, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't like the Astros, right? But don't do it, Sarge. No, do it. No, don't do it, Sarge. No, you got to do it, Sarge. Sarge. Don't do it. No, you got to do it, bro. All right. Let me say it like this. Do I like baseball? Yes. I don't mind watching baseball. I don't really mind covering baseball. But if we're keeping it real, if we're keeping it a buck, if we're keeping it 100, baseball is a dying sport. Nobody wants to really say that because all they keep looking at is the money. Oh man, look at how much money you can make in baseball. Sure. You make a lot of money in baseball. But look at the popularity of the sport. Nobody's watching baseball like that. What did I tell you all earlier this year? People are watching the WNBA more than they're watching baseball games. And nobody in their right mind ever thought that they would say that. Like you have to be a diehard baseball purist to make baseball your number one sport. Baseball would never be more popular than football. Baseball would never be more popular than basketball. And I'm talking about on the NFL and the NBA level. We're talking about professional. Baseball will no matter how much money they spend on these players, it'll never have the popularity that those two sports have. And now with Caitlin Clark, with Angel Reese, with the way that the WNBA has started to restructure themselves, and some of these stars, some of these women that are coming into the WNBA, that's giving the shining light on the WNBA, turning the WNBA around. And when you're looking at some of the future players that are going to come into the WNBA, like if we're keeping it, like I said, we're keeping it a buck. You look, watch women's college basketball. They got a lot of talented young ladies that are playing over there that are going to come into the WNBA, and they're going to send the WNBA into another realm as far as popularity is concerned. Like, look, I know we talk about Paige Buckners. I get that. She is amazing for UConn. I know we talk about Juju. She's amazing for USC. But UCLA got a squad. They got one or two people, one or two young ladies on that squad that's going to make it to the WNBA. Notre Dame got a squad. WNBA. University of Texas got a squad. South Carolina got a squad. TCU got a squad. Now, Van Lith may be the only player that's going to come out of TCU to make it into the WNBA right now, but TCU got a squad. Like, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent that's in women's college basketball right now that's going to come into the WNBA, and they're going to take that sport to the next level. People are going to start watching more. As I guarantee, listen, when Paige get there, when Paige comes into the WNBA, and when Juju comes into the WNBA, they're going to be shooting at Caitlin Clark in a competitive way, not in a bad way. They're going to be shooting at her in a competitive way, because right now, I mean, listen, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. We know that the face of the WNBA right now is Caitlin Clark. It is. She's the face of the WNBA, which makes her a target for everybody else that in the WNBA coming into the WNBA, because they would like nothing more than to bring her down. They would like nothing more to go one-on-one with her and beat her, and beat her team. And so there's a lot of there's a lot of talent coming into the WNBA. The WNBA is growing in popularity, and it's growing in popularity more than baseball. More than baseball. Juan Soto got $765 million the other day. You know how easily that came and went? The only reason why people still talking about the Juan Soto contract is because you got New York Yankees fans burning his jersey. You got New York Yankees fans going and posting up in front of Citi Field where the New York Mets play and say, look at the dumpster fire that sits across the street from this stadium. You want to come play over here and look at this neighborhood. You got the outrage from the New York fans. That's the only reason people still talking about Juan Soto. He's one of the most popular players in Major League Baseball. You got a lot of these players that are just signed yesterday and today that are getting an enormous amount of money, a lot of money. But it does not matter because the sport is not popular enough for fans to remember. And I'm just talking about the casual fan. You can get the casual fan to watch football. You can get the casual fan to watch basketball. You can get the casual fan to watch the WNBA. You cannot get the casual fan to watch Major League Baseball. I like Major League Baseball. I like watching it. I don't mind covering it. It's a long season, but I don't mind. And so, as I digress, when I say that the Houston Rockets and the Houston Texans are on that same trajectory, they're going up. All it's going to take is for one of them or both of them to win a title. And for as great as the Houston Astros have been, a lot of people are just going to forget about them. For as good as they've been, a lot of people are just going to. Let me take that back. I don't want to say forget about them. Let me say that, because they've been dominant for a very long time. The Houston Astros are a dynasty. So you're not just going to forget about them. But that one, if the Texans get one Super Bowl, that Super Bowl is going to trump any and everything that the Houston Astros have done, unless Houston Astros have done unless you are a baseball purist and you're just a diehard Astros fan who love nothing but baseball and can sometimes watch football, sometimes watch basketball. The Houston Texans get a Super Bowl victory. That parade, they're gonna have that parade from downtown Houston all the way to the Woodlands. Oh, that parade is going to be massive. And that one Super Bowl will be talked about for 30 years. They don't win another one in 30 years. They're still going to have that one, and they're going to talk about that more than they talk about the World Series wins. That's all I'm saying. The Houston Rockets win an NBA title. They're going to talk about that more than they on the radio. They'll talk about that more than they talk about the Houston Astros World Series appearances and championships. Like if you think, hey, drop it in the comments. Which one of y'all think? Well, how would you rank them? How would you rank the orders of Texans Super Bowl, Rockets championship, Astros World Series titles? How would you rank them? So that's all I'm saying is that with the Houston Texans, the way the Houston Texans and the Houston Rockets are growing together, the way that they're growing together and the way that they're moving together, they're going to forever, if they stay in this trajectory, I'm sorry, if they stay on this path, not forever. Forever is a mighty long time. Hey, look, in the words forever, that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you there's something else. Some of y'all too young to know where that line came from. But they continue to move in the direction in which they have been moving the last 2 years. One of them is going to get a title. And once they get that title, that's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take. Look, for as many um titles for many World Series titles and appearances that the Astros have, if you somewhere you mention Houston, people can recall the 94-95 championships way more than they can recall 2017 or what was it, 2022? 2017, 2022, if I'm not mistaken, right? Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. It's 2022. If they won it, that's when Dusty was here, right? 2022. People can go all the way back 30 plus years and be like, hey, man, I remember. Hold on, man. I remember when I was on Richmond party and this, that, and other. For real. Hey, what you was doing? Where were you at when the Astros won the World Series? Where were you at during that parade? Ah, man, I ain't even go down there, man. There's too many people down there, man. I can't even go down there, man. I can't even be around all them people. Hey, but did you party on Richmond when the Rockets won back to back? Man, I was all up and down Richmond, man. And then when I went to the parade, man, man, let me tell you something. We was blah, 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 blah. So what you're saying, you just lied to me. I got it. No problem at all. Make sure y'all drop it in the comments. How would you rank? How would you rank championships if the Texans had a Super Bowl, um, the Rockets get another championship, and the Astros get another World Series title? Where would they fall into your pecking order? Let me get into some of these. What we got going on over here? What we got going on over here? Let's see. Yes. Haven't we lost to them a crazy amount of times in a row? Yeah, like 14 times in a row. 14, 15, 14 times, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? I think I got it right here. I know for sure that it's 14, but y'all give me a second. We're talking about how many times the Rockets have lost to the how many times the Rockets have lost to the Warriors. Maybe it's not in. Maybe that's not it. Let me see something. It's gotta be in here. It's gotta be in here. Maybe it's not in that part of my email. I'll find it. All right. All right. Harden was on the team when we had the last win. Yeah. So it's the quarterfinals. We would play OKC. So what are they? So what is tonight? I thought tonight was the quarterfinals, and then the semi. I thought they play So don't they? If they win, they advance to play the Thunder, and then the winner out of those two play for the championship, right? I got that wrong. Oh, he said he hate Golden State. You sound like Tyrese. Tyrese hate him too. Get who on the show? Let me know. Who you trying to get on the show? Yep. Okay. So it was 2019. It was 2019 when the Warriors beat them and they were celebrating at MRD Toyota Center. I was reading this, had them tied to with no KD. Hey, that's the year Harden got poked in the eye in Golden State, right? That's why I always tell these Golden State fans, y'all. Some of these Golden State fans be acting like, "Oh man, I mean, we're just fans, this, that, and other." No, I was there when Harden got poked in the eye, and y'all started calling him the female anatomy. Like y'all thought he was faking, and then his eye was really red. Like, did they win that game? Didn't they win? Didn't Harden go off in that game? He got scratched in the eye. He couldn't see, and he was still balling. Uh, he says it's his T Mac days. As long as Jimmy Love, his hairstylist in Miami, I think he might fit. Jimmy got a lot of businesses in Miami too, and I don't think that the allure of coming back home to Texas. I don't think the allure of coming back and visiting Tomball where he used to live. I don't think that would be enough to bring Jimmy to Houston. I think that that was just one of the teams he may have thrown on there because that they're up and coming team. But if I'm not, listen, Raphael Stone, general manager of the Houston Rockets, also said like, "Hey, I get phone calls every day. It's my job to take the phone calls. It's my job to listen. But we good over here. We good over here. I think that our roster is pretty good. And by the end of the season, there'll be some more phone calls. We'll listen, but for like we good over here. So, and I don't think that Jimmy Butler will fit well with this young Houston Rockets team. Um, so let me see. Baseball is a regional sport. No one cares except the diehard baseball fans. Yep. Yep. I he a baller. Houston, H Town Dre, yes. And Tilma Fertitta, the future former ambassador for if the future US ambassador in Italy after January 6th happens. He tried to get one here. Uh I think he would. Oh yeah, from LSU, she be balling too. She does be balling. WNBA got drama that is hilarious, especially the pettiness of players dating and playing against each other. Yeah, me and my wife laughed about that all the time. Let me see what else we got here. Right. Also, the stakes are minuscule, and the regular season takes the drama out of it. Talking about baseball. Hmm. Hey, to each his own. I respect that. Don't get me wrong. I respect that. But as much as I love basketball and I officiate women's hoop, I don't find women's basketball watchable. That's just me. Let me ask you a question then, Sean Super Tech. What is it about men's basketball that you like? Like, what is it about college basketball and the NBA that you like? Do you like watching actual basketball or are you watching for the entertainment value? It's me. One of the reasons I really like watching women's basketball because I like watching the game. Like I like the game of basketball. And it's not just for entertainment purposes for me. So, of course, these young men can jump out of a gym, they dunking this and other. But side note though, hey, Ashley Watkins from South Carolina got a dunk the other day, and it wasn't no barely grazed the rim dunk. It was a dunk grab, like she dunked it. She on the break, uh, dunked. Which means she might be catching alleys here soon. So, see, and take a Super Bowl. Texans greater than the Rockets and the Astros. Super Bowl, NBA World Series. Three Astros, two Rockets, one Texans. Texans, Rockets, Astros. I'm just telling you, that's all it is. Now, don't get me wrong, the Astros have some really good players that you want to watch, but football over everything, of course. Yeah, you already know. You already know. Big Crit is amazing. Mhm. True. Rockets championship, Texans Super Bowl, Astros. Texas win the Super Bowl. They locking me in Baker Street the whole weekend. What do you think about players sitting out bowl games, especially when they're getting okay? I didn't even have this as we're getting ready to talk some keys to victory in just a second, and then I'm gonna let you all continue on to your day because I got to continue on to mine. We got Texas head coach D'Amico Ryan speaking today. Also, quarterback CJ Stroud. The locker room will be open, and then after that, and the rest of the day, I will be at the Toyota. Excuse me, at the Toyota Center getting ready for the Houston Rockets to take on the Golden State Warriors. So this is interesting, Keezy. First of all, good morning to you. And I know that I listen. It's crazy that you're asking this question because I know where you're going with this. Like I personally know where you're going with this because this is something that you're going to have to think about here in a couple of years. How old is your son now? Your son is what, 12, 12, 13? How old is Bo, right? And Bo, right? How old is Bo? And hey, that little dude is fast, like fast, like fast. Your son and Ahmad's son, all them boys fast. But I understand where you're going with this. And I'm on a side note before we get back to the Texans. I'm going to answer this. What do you think about players sitting out bowl games, especially when they're getting NIL deals? So my question would be, where does the NIL deal end? Are you being paid through the bowl game? Because if you're being paid through the bowl game, then you need to play in the bowl game. If you're getting paid, it's like a contract. If you're getting paid, you need to play or you need to get a money back. If you're getting paid to play through the bowl game, there has to be some type of stipulation in there that says you have to play in the bowl game if I'm paying you this NIL money. But if you're not, if you're not, if you're not, if you don't have an NIL deal and you're not in the college football playoffs, your team doesn't have an opportunity to play for a national championship. Hell no. You know, if I'm Cam Ward's, if I had Cam Ward's ear to the point where he listened to what I said, I'd be like, hey bro, the Pop Tart Bowl ain't gonna do nothing for you. Hell, I don't even like Pop Tarts. What's he gonna do for you, bro? We don't need no lifetime supply, no Pop Tarts. One, two, you don't have your team. Miami does not have a chance to win a national championship. That's the first thing. Two, you're a Heisman Trophy finalist. What else do you need to show these people? The only thing that you're risking by going out here is an injury that could cause you draft status, that can cause you money. You've done everything that you could do. You tried your best to get your team into the college football playoffs. They didn't make it. Oh well. Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders, and I know Coach Prime's like everybody that's on his team is going to play in the bowl game. I get it. That's your rules. That's your rules. Do I agree with him? No. What else does Shadur have to prove? Playing in the Valero Alamo Bowl, the Valero Bowl in the Alamo Dome on a terrible field. The Alamo Dome field is horrible. I've been there on multiple occasions. That field is terrible. What does Travis Hunter have to prove? When you look at the Heisman Trophy finalists, you got Cam Ward from Miami. His team doesn't have a chance to win a national championship. He shouldn't play in the bowl game. Gentry from Boise State, the running back. His team's in the college football playoffs. He should play in the bowl game. Travis Hunter, team is not in contention for winning a national championship. He should not play in a bowl game. Then I can't think of the quarterback's name from Oregon. They're the number one team in the nation. They're the number one seed in the college football playoff tournament. Yeah, yeah, you got to play. With some of these other people that like in the Weed Eater Bowl or the Seasoning Salt Bowl or the Lowry's Bowl or the I want my baby daddy to come back, but if he don't, I'm gonna put him on child support bowl. What are they proving? I don't think that any player that has an opportunity to play in the NFL shouldn't play in the bowl game. You get nothing out of it. Now, if you're a player that could whose draft status can rise by showing what you can do in the bowl game, then go play in the bowl game. Go do what you need to do in the bowl game. But if you know you're going first round, you have nothing to gain by playing in a bowl game. But if you're being paid, you need to show up. Now, Keezy, because you know, you and I, we here. Keezy, I'm gonna need you to put on your Prairie View hat for a second. Keezy is a Prairie View alum just like myself. Keezy, I'm gonna need you to put on your Prairie View hat. And what I mean by your Prairie View hat is, you know, when we was going to Prairie View, when we was down at Prairie View, you know, you had to get it how you live. Most people don't understand that, so I'll tell you. The way that Prairie View is now is not what Prairie View used to be back in the day. Going all up and down 290, they ain't have all that nice stuff that they have on 290. You really had to come into Houston. You really had to come. The first sign of civilization you see is off 290 and Highway 6. Now, shit, it's everywhere headed towards Prairie View. But back then, it was nowhere near what it is now. So, Keezy, I need you to go back to our days in college. And I need you to put yourself in this get it how you live mindset. If I have an NIL deal and I know I'm going first round, but my NIL deal says that I have to be in the bowl game, I'm gonna play about 2 or 3 snaps. Then all of a sudden, and I'm not going to full speed those snaps. No, we're not doing that. And I'm talking about if I'm playing for college football championship, if I'm playing for a national championship, then yeah, I'm gonna give it my all. But if I'm playing in a Pop Tart bowl or the macaroni and cheese bowl, whatever other bowl they got, the Pulander Weed Eater Bowl, the Cheez It Bowl, the Potato Bowl, if I'm playing in any of those bowl games, you get about 3 snaps out of me. Then all of a sudden my back hurts. I fulfill my obligations. My boy. You just said I had to play. You didn't say I had to play a substantial amount of snaps. You didn't say I had to play a certain amount of quarters. You just said I had to play. They called my name. I got my if you go to ESPN and click on box score. You'll see I got some snaps. It might say that a percentage of plays may say 3%. I was in there though, my guy. I fulfill my obligation. That's all I'm saying. Saw ESPN put Dylan, Jock, Tate, and Aaron Holiday in the trade and kept the young core. Dylan, Jock, Tate. For who? I'm glad you're embracing Blue Chew. I'm so glad you are embracing it, AD. Good Lord. Yep. Hold on. Yep. So yes, the weed eater bowl. His son entering the transfer portal is like 6-year-old in Florida. Boy, did you see that? Y'all seen that story where that little dude that play in the 6 and under league say he got 1 more year eligibility left in the 6 and under bowl. He said he got man, not 6 and under bowl. He got 1 more year left to play in 6 and under, and he's putting himself into the transfer portal. He had a whole letter and everything. A whole letter and everything. You know. Oh, so Bo is 12. One of the fastest 12-year-olds I know. But I know, like I said, I know why you asked that question because I know exactly why. It's the actual athleticism that makes basketball what it is. Watching Hoosier style basketball is terrible. That's why the NBA joined with the ABA. Okay, so I get that part. So, and I'm just asking. So you just want to see threes and dunks. Doesn't really matter to you about watching somebody jab step somebody one way and going left. It don't really matter to you that they don't box out no more. It don't really matter to you they don't play defense. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being sarcastic. Like I'm really asking because I watch basketball, I cover basketball, and I'm saying to myself, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that play in the NBA that if they couldn't dunk, they probably wouldn't beat some of the women that play in the WNBA. Like if it was just strictly jump shots and layups. I mean, name the top 5 pure shooters in the NBA. Like pure shooters. Curry. Okay, and then you can go with the rest. Oh, of course. For sure. Bro, my YouTube tripping, not letting me come in. Well, hello. How you doing? I seen that 4'48 pounds. Yeah, I seen that. Wow. A whole transfer letter for that. What? All right, y'all. Let's jump into some of this Houston Texans talk. You know, Houston Texans will be taking on the Miami Dolphins on Sunday at NRG Stadium. If you get a chance, go over to the Locked On Texans podcast, the Wednesday episode of Locked On Texans podcast, and you will see. I got a chance to speak with Miami Herald columnist Omar Kelly, who covers the Miami Dolphins about this week's matchup. Some pretty interesting things over there. It's some pretty interesting things. One of the first questions I asked him was, is this like a playoff game for the Dolphins? Are the Dolphins treating this game like a playoff game?" And we discussed that because the Dolphins are 4-1 in their last 5 games. And after I'm sorry, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games. Their remaining 4 games is against the Texans, 49ers, the Browns, and the Jets. So if they can beat the Texans, then they have 3 more easy games that puts them right there in playoff contention. Like they're still in playoff contention. There's still a small glimmer of hope for them because they're currently ninth in the standings. They're 6-7, and only the Ravens, Chargers, Broncos, and Texans are above them at 8-5. Now the Texans, of course, they can't catch the Texans because the Texans are going to win the division. But and the Colts are above them at 6-7. But all these wild card teams, the Ravens, Chargers, Browns, and Colts, they can catch them if they beat the Texans. So Omar Kelly and I discussed if the Texans, if this is a if this is a playoff game or the um, Miami Dolphins approaching this like a playoff game. And so some of my keys to victory, though, let's start with this. And D'Amico Ryan said this on Monday during his press conference. It says that you have to have eye discipline. I feel like you got to have the eye discipline all across the board when it comes to the defensive side of the board. We talked about how the all the pre-snap motion and the things that the Miami Dolphins like to do, and if you get yourself caught up in all of that. So I'll put it like this: it's time. The defense now has to do. The defense now has to do and take the same mindset and approach that the offense had going against the the Minnesota Vikings. You remember all that pre-snap stuff that they do on the defensive side of the ball, all of that moving that they do. They have to be able to the defense side of the ball has to be made aware that sometimes all of that moving is for just for show. It's a dummy. It's a dummy motion. It really doesn't mean anything. They just really either trying to see what you're doing or trying to get you off balance. So that eye discipline has to be very, very good. And on that Locked On Texans Wednesday episode, I talked about how the safety first is what I titled it. They have to play sound football. So go on over there to the Locked On Texans podcast and listen to that. As far as the conversation with Omar Kelly and I with the Dolphins coming up this week. Another one of my keys to victory. Hey, Tua got to feel the pressure. Tua has to feel the pressure. And what I mean by feeling the pressure is so there aren't too many people. There aren't too many, excuse me, there aren't too many teams, right? There aren't too many teams that has a dynamic duo like Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. We've talked about that on numerous occasions. On numerous occasions, we've talked about how good those two are together when they're on the field. And the problem that Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is going to face this week. Why do I keep doing so? Okay, Tay know what this is. Some of y'all may not know what this. I keep going like this. What we call this in the army is the command hand. Hey, look, soldier. I told you on more than one occasion that you can't go down there. You gotta leave. Listen, you gotta leave her alone, bro. She don't want you. You're not going to be able to force her to want you. So let me tell you something. It's gonna be my last warning. It's called a command hand. I don't know why I keep doing the command hand, but there aren't a lot of teams that have a Will Anderson or a Daniil Hunter, and the problem for Tua is going to be his front side is going to be open to Daniil because he's left-handed. So his front side is going to be open. He's going to be able to see Daniil, all the while hoping that Will isn't coming from behind him to hit him while he has his back turned. So he drops back and he's looking. He got to keep his head on a swivel because his front side is open. His throwing hand is open to where Daniil Hunt is coming from. But he also got to pay attention to Will. And if you're trying to pay attention to them two, the defensive tackle should be right there. Right there. That's the eye troop hand. Yep. Let me tell you something. I ain't gonna tell you no more. Formation is at 0600. What time formation? 0600. What time should you be here? 0545. If you are coming to formation at 0600, you're late. And if you late, I've given you too many opportunities already. I gave you two chances. You didn't get a third one. You late again, I'm right. I promise you, I'm going to embarrass you in front of everybody. One. And two, I'm going to do something that you're going to hate. I'm going to take your time. And make you do extra duty. Since you don't know how to tell time, and now I got to teach you how to tell time, which means you're going to take up my time, then I'm going to show you and prove to you. I digress. They got to put the pressure on Tua. Tua has to feel the pressure from Will Anderson Jr. and from Daniil Hunter. But hey, for as much as we talk about how the Houston Texans don't have a strong interior offensive line, the Dolphins ain't that strong on the interior offensive line themselves. I'm just saying. They ain't that strong themselves. So, Tim Settle Jr., Kurt Hinish, Danico Autry. Is Foley coming back? I don't think Foley's coming back. I don't he may. But they got to eat. And if they're allowed to eat, if that front four eats, that means that back end is going to eat. If that front four can put that pressure on Tua, that means they're going to eat. And if they're able to eat, then that means that Stingley should have one or two interceptions. That means Kamari might get one. That means Kalen Bullock might get one. But it's going to start with them, and they have to put that pressure on Tua. Last thing I have for you all on this Sports Talk with Big Sarge show and the Texans' keys to victory. Hey, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Just give me a second. Just hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. I think the Texans should use Andrew Beck this week. I think that if they start using him now, by the time the playoffs roll around, Joe Mixon will be acclimated to having him back there. And especially use him because here's the sneaky little fact about Andrew Beck. Hey, he can also catch out of the backfield. So if you take Dalton Schultz off the field and you got Andrew Beck in there to block, that's the first thing a defense coordinator is going to think. They're going to think that, hey, Beck's just in here to block. It's a running play. And then you sneak him out into the flats. Like, I honestly and truly believe that Andrew Beck should play. I think that Joe Mixon, they should put him in there so Joe Mixon can get used to playing with the fullback if needed. I'm not saying that he has to be a regular part of the rotation, but what I do like is him being in there, uh him being in there helping, blocking. Because we know Dalton Schultz ain't a strong blocker. And if you're gonna have Kay Stover in there, then you might as well who's learning how to become a better blocker, a better run blocker in general. You put Beck in there and you let Beck absorb some of that pressure that Anthony Weaver is going to try to bring to to disrupt some of that Houston Texans offense and try to make CJ Stroud uncomfortable. I can't wait to see Anthony Weaver. Man, it's been a long time since I seen Anthony Weaver. And I found out something yesterday when I was talking yesterday. I found out something when I was talking on Tuesday to Omar Kelly from the Miami Herald. Omar said, and I didn't know this. Did y'all know Anthony Weaver really took that personal? Anthony Weaver really took him not being a part of the Houston Texans anymore. Because what was he, defensive coordinator last time he was here? He took the Texans getting rid of him really personal. I never knew that. I just found that out myself. Like I said, Anthony Weaver is a really good guy. Really good guy. Anthony Weaver is a defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins now. He used to be a teammate of D'Amico Ryans. That's what's going to be so funny about the whole situation, in this matchup. But Anthony Weaver is definitely going to try to disrupt and get CJ off of wherever he feels comfortable at. And especially when we talked to Jonathan M. Alexander, he said he wanted to see how the Texans would use the Jags win, how that would carry over coming out of the bye week. And CJ didn't play his best game, but CJ looked better than he had been looking in a very long time. And so I'm pretty sure Anthony Weaver got a chance to look at that. Pretty sure Anthony Weaver got a chance to look at that video. I mean, look at that game film, and now he's trying to make sure that he gets CJ Stroud off of the spots that he feels more comfortable with. And I just think that if you have Andrew Beck in the backfield as an extra blocker to protect CJ, or if you have Anthony Beck, if you have Beck in the lineup to be Andrew Beck in the lineup to be able to help Joe Mixon maybe to create some more running lanes, I think that that would be really good. So I honestly and truly believe that we should see more of Andrew Beck in the Miami Dolphins game. All right, let me get into these comments right quick. Let me see. D'Amico uses that command hand with Bobby. Look, I know you like to run the ball when it's 2nd and 14, but you have to mix it up sometimes. Let me see what else we got right here. They just get the ball out quick. Got to get them in long downs. What's going on? Yeah, I'm a little worried for Tua. Hey, Senior Boble, it's gonna be one of those ones. Back in the back with Joe, they're gonna make it go. Yep. Uh Weaver was ass. Swan, what did he really have to work with though? He didn't really have nothing to work with. Swan is right. He brought in Eric Murray too. Was it him? Or who was it? We don't care. We don't care. We're an hour and 20 minutes into the show, and now you want to join? Now you want to join? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. You up to go get your Walmart wings? Got it. Let's see what this question is real quick. Real quick, women don't do any of those things either. That's not what coaches teach kids from the AAU level. But I will say the girls can be more fundamentally sound, but they have to be. I don't know what that last word means. Maybe you can tell what that means. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. That AAU level of basketball for young men is horrible, and it's a money grab. They ain't teaching these kids nothing. They're teaching them absolute nothing, and it's expensive, and it's a money grab for those coaches who have found a way. I'm talking about AAU coaches. They used to just take the money under the table. They found a way to work themselves into NIL deals too. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. He took being mid personally. What y'all got against Weaver, man? Weaver ain't done nothing. All right, I'm about to get ready to get up out of here. Like I said, I got the coach Ryan's today. CJ's talking today. Open locker room. Then I come back, speak to Emi Adoka before the game starts, and then the Houston Rockets will take on the Golden State Warriors. It's an 8:30 tip off. You know how long that is? Jeez, it's gonna be a long game. I probably won't get home till about 1 in the morning. That don't mean nothing though, because we will be right back here at 8 a.m. No, I got to start it earlier, y'all, because I was late last week and I can't afford to be late. I got to go get me. Last week I just got an edge up. I got to actually get a haircut because I got to go to my wife's Christmas party. We're gonna talk about that on Monday's episode of the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm gonna tell you about all the coworkers that I'm meeting for the first time. Well, one I mean for the second time, but I can't wait to go to this company Christmas party because I think I'm gonna be one. I think that it's gonna be like this many of us in there. And you know what I mean by when I say this many of us. It ain't this many. It's gonna be this many of us. Big hustle, just like closing. He took over for RSC defense, fell off. The same thing with Vrabel. They were asked when RSC handed them the keys. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Hold on. Sarge, if you can get the scoop on the offensive line rotation with Green coming back, I might have that for you on tomorrow's show. Make sure you tuned in tomorrow. We're starting at like 7:30, maybe. 2 specks of pepper and a sea of salt. hmm I had to go to my girl job holiday party a few weeks ago. It was the same for me, only three of us. Yeah, yeah. My wife's an attorney, so I'm gonna be around other attorneys. But I wish they would start talking that attorney talk around me. Hey, I watch Matlock. I watch Law and Order. I ain't talking about SVU. I'm talking about Law and Order. Like I watched them in the court. I watch Matlock in the court. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they get talking that attorney talk to me. I'm gonna go doom 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 doom. What we talking about over here? What we talking about over here? Oh, y'all think Jay-Z did it? Is that what y'all saying? Y'all think that Tony Busby is right for going after Jay-Z? That's what y'all over here saying? What y'all over here talking about? Doom, 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 doom. I'm here. I watch Matlock. I'm ready. I'm well versed on being a TV lawyer. Well versed on being a TV. I ain't watched Perry Mason, but I did watch a bunch of Matlock. I'm ready. I watched a bunch of Law and Order. I'm ready. I'm ready to I'm the best TV lawyer you ever met. Let's go. Let's talk about it. What we talking about over here? Uh I don't like going to my job's Christmas party at all. I make an appearance and get the guys. Yes, definitely Buzz and Petty. LA Law. Yep. Uh Watching Matlock eating tea cakes. I encourage people to drink as I sip slow at company Christmas parties. I'm trying to see something. Hey, look, and it's free food and free drink, and it ain't too far from my house, so we're Uber. We're gonna Uber there. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. And so the funny little thing about how they say opposites attract. How they say opposites attract. That's how it is for me and my wife. My wife is an introvert. Oh my goodness, she's introverted. She'll talk to me. She ain't really talking to other people. She's a very hard worker, but she's introverted. Y'all think I'm an introvert? I am an ambivert. Hey, I hope AD got his little Bluetooth. Ambivert is has nothing to do with being it's not a sexual innuendo. An ambivert means that you're introverted and you're extroverted. I'm just fine being an introvert, but I can also be extroverted. That sounds weird. But the word is ambivert. If you're ambivert, that means that you could be both. My wife is an introvert. And so she's already told him, she's like, so my husband is different. And he's like, what you mean by different? It's like, she said, he's very outgoing. He's very speak his mind, but in a respectful way. But he will speak his mind. He has no issue with talking about other things. If he doesn't know it, he's gonna keep his mouth shut though and just listen. That's how I am. If I don't know something about something, I don't need to talk just to talk. If I get over there, like in all honesty, if I get over there and they start talking legal stuff, I'm be like, I don't know nothing about that. My wife do. And we can talk about cases I seen online. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about, listen, I don't really want to say that name because that's to stirred up some things on social media. But like, if you want to talk about what went down with Deshaun Watson and that whole case, like as far as the case is concerned, I'll talk about that, not the allegations. We can talk about the case though, and what it was like being around David Culley and the rest of the people that had to deal with that fiasco. We'll talk about that. But she said he's different, and I am. My outfit clean though. Gotta get up out of here. But my outfit is clean. My outfit is clean. Hold on. What you know about that Bella the Trey Baby 3? You too young to know about any of these shows. You're too young. You watching this on what's that called? Me TV? What's that channel that show all the me and my wife was watching Mama's Family on it the other day. What is it? It's like right past channel 39 or something. Like me and my wife was just like, you don't know nothing about McLeod, Columbo, and Quincy. You don't know nothing about McLeod riding that horse in the city of New York. You don't know nothing about Columbo with that same nasty brown jacket on. You don't know nothing about that. Oh, Boston Legal was a good show. Hey, Harvey Specter. Hey, Corey, you not lying, boy. And he ruthless, and he played the game. He like, hey, look, hold on, you owe me a favor. I'm calling it in, but Harvey, it's gonna affect my career. I don't give a damn. You weren't saying that when I helped you get out of that battle that you had with that young lady, and you didn't want your wife to know. Remember that one? Hey, is Jonathan Majors really him and Megan Good really like they really like engaged for real? Hey, when that contract run out? Hey, Sarge, this is sports talk with Big Sarge, not Buzz and Petty. No, I'm just saying. Like I just seen a picture of Jonathan Majors the other day with Megan Good. I'm like, well, this boy is ripped up. He must be getting a new movie role. So that means that after he gets back into the movie role, that means her contract is up, right? Hey, maybe she learned from Lori Harvey. Sarge, this is sports talk with Big Sarge. This is not Buzz and Petty. Virgil Tibbs. He wouldn't he couldn't comb his hair. I ain't like Virgil Tibbs. He couldn't comb his hair. And he was weird in real life. Them folks gonna take one look at you and think she meant something else by different. No, she has pictures of me in her office. So no, they know. They know that I'm different. Uh hold on. We the same age. For real? What year you came out of Yates? Because if we the same age, then you'd have to come out of Yates like right after Melvin Foster, that like Melvin Foster, Johnny Bailey, all them that was over at Yates during that time. If we the same age, like you had to be there when what was the quarterback name? Oh, they had one hell of a quarterback too over there at Yates. This is when inner cities. One day we're gonna talk about that. How the suburbs ruin the inner city athletics. Because back in the day, Yates, Sterling, Worthing, Madison, Wheatley. What? You right? He was a badass lawyer. Bad hair. So when y'all gonna start up the 5Ks? I think I have one in January. We started them in January. Me and my wife were just talking about that yesterday. What? Where? Where? Because I used to stay off of Scott and Luca. Stay right down the street from Yellowstone Park. Right off of Scott and Luca Street. I was over there when God dang it. What's his name? You stay across the street from Yellowstone Park that was riding up Scott and fell off his motorcycle and skint up his whole body. He had like a Hispanic name, but he black. Had the El Camino, had the yellow El Camino over there. God, I can't think of his name. Anyway, I'm about to get up out of here, y'all. One more thing before I go. Hey, listen. If you get an opportunity and a chance, right? If you get an opportunity and a chance, and you have a Netflix account, or you're sharing Netflix account with somebody, or somebody let you use their Netflix account, watch that new Jamie Foxx. Now, let me tell you something. Some of you all are gonna go in with the mindset that you think that Jamie is finna perform comedy the entire night. No, no. Okay, I see you, Marcus. I see you. Uh no, 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 not him. I can't think of his name. We'll talk about it another time, but uh I can't think of his name. But if you get a chance, please watch that Jamie Foxx and going with it with an open mind. Jamie is going to joke about his situation at some point. But this man is really talking to you about coming back from the dead. How he's just happy to be alive. Some people went in there thinking that they was gonna see this awesome comedy special. And that's not what it is now. It's some comedy in there and it's hilarious. But I'm gonna tell you right now, boy, that thing, my wife don't want me to tell y'all this, but I looked over there and she was crying. Like it's emotional. It's emotional, but it's funny. It's got some funny parts in it. Don't get me wrong, but it's emotional, especially when you talk about the Holly Berry hug. Oh, that's y'all gonna laugh at that. But I looked over there. My wife was emotional. I said, "You crying?" She's like, "No, it's my allergies." I said, "Oh, okay." Because I'm glad she didn't see because I had that thug tear coming out this side. She couldn't see this side of my face right here. You couldn't see that side. This is my thug tear coming out. I kept going like this, so I wouldn't cry to this eye. But this one right here, that thing is a tear jerk in the heat of the night. Yep, for real, for real, for real. Um, oh, I used to love in the heat of the night. In the heat of the night. Scott and Luca. I'm Yellowstone and Ward, literally across the street from Cullen Track Field. Hey, that's by Frost. That's not too far from Frost Elementary, right? Ain't that Frost? Not too far from the elementary school, right? Swan. But hey, y'all get a chance, please go and watch that Jamie Foxx, man. It'll put a whole lot of things in perspective for you. Um, it'll put a tell you I'm trying to be serious. Uh uh Foster. Okay, I thought okay, Foster. Yep. Tell you I'm trying to be serious, man. This man is really talking now. He do make jokes about Diddy too, but and just go watch it, y'all. Watch that new Jamie Foxx, man. It is really good. All right, for sure. Don't forget there will be a quiz on Thursday. Thursday show, there will be a quiz. I need you all to answer this question. What is an appropriate gift your significant other can accept from a coworker of the opposite sex? I went to Cullen. I didn't go to Yates, so I should have went to Yates, but I ended up going to another school, Sharpstown High School. Um, but yeah, y'all make sure y'all ready for that tomorrow. All right, I gotta get up out of here. I'm gonna make sure I have some things. Make sure y'all go and watch that Locked On Texans podcast. I mean, listen to the Locked On Texans podcast or watch it on YouTube with Omar Kelly. All right. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Subscribe to my YouTube page, Big Sarge Media. Make sure you're following me on the on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. And make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Texans podcast and to the Locked On Texans YouTube page. Corey, I seen your little comment too, talking about so Sarge just bivert. I seen that. Seen your little comment. I was listening to y'all on the group chat the other night. That was y'all was talking about relationships. I was like, interesting. Gotta make sure we talk about that on the Buzz and Petty podcast. Big Sarge, I'm out.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.